first place, as was mandated by the Supreme Court. Essentially, what happened was a mockery of the guidelines put in place by the Supreme Court, which said that these green crackers have to be certified by the National Environmental Research Institute. That didn't happen. There have to be QR codes on this. And of course, the timing between 8 p.m. and 10 p.m., that too was violated. Today, the Environment Minister of Delhi was asked about this, and he conveniently palmed off the blame to Punjab and the stubble burning of the farmers there, even though the AQI in Punjab this morning was 155 and in Delhi this morning was 350, which is in the very poor category. The question is, this is something that Delhiites have been facing. It's an entirely man-made problem. It's not just about the crackers, it's about road dust, it's about construction dust, it's also about stubble burning. But the point is, all that we have seen for the last 5, even 10 years is convenient palming of the blame between AAP and BJP, and now BJP back to AAP. Will anyone from any political party, hue or stripe, accept responsibility and fix this problem once and for all?
आम आदमी पार्टी जानबूझकर जो किसान नहीं पराली जलाना चाहते उनको जबरदस्ती पराली जलाने को मजबूर कर करके उनके मुंह बांधकर पराली जलवाई जा रही है। किसान पराली नहीं जलाना चाहता, ये कपड़े बांधकर उनसे मुंह से पराली जलवाई जा रही है ताकि दिल्ली के अंदर इस पराली का असर हो।
मंत्री जी ने कहा कि जो पराली है वो पंजाब के अंदर किसानों द्वारा खास तौर पे दिवाली पे जलाई गई ताकि दिल्ली में पोल्यूशन हो। क्या बात कर रहे हैं आप? पंजाब के अंदर AQI 150 है, दिल्ली के अंदर 400 है, आप कह रहे हैं पंजाब की वजह से हो गया।
Rockets and fireworks lit up the night sky last night. What has stayed behind this morning, and it was evident throughout the national capital and the air around it, was a thick layer of smog and ultrafine pollutants, PM 2.5. The grey skies masked the positive festive fever, but just like it has happened post-Diwali morning, every morning for the last 4 or 5 years. And I want to put out the data, and let's not argue against the data because it's there for everyone to see. In 2021, Delhi defied the ban on crackers and it added to the toxic air, taking the AQI in 2021, the day after Diwali, to 454. That was in the severe category. Then Diwali was in November, which is the period when Delhi's air is hazardous because of several reasons, including stubble burning and vehicular emissions. Firecrackers added to that. And then in 2022, the AQI stood at 315, which is in the very poor category, on the morning after Diwali. In 2023, there was a massive jump in air pollution levels. There was a smoky haze that enveloped all of Delhi's air a day after Diwali, despite there being a blanket ban on firecrackers. From 269 the day before Diwali, the AQI jumped to 438. And last year was no different either. Delhi's AQI soared to 359 the day after Diwali, again in the very poor category. Today, which is the day after the 2025 Diwali, the AQI as of 4 p.m. recorded was 350, which is again in the very poor category. Now, I want to show you some pictures of the skyline. This is what Delhiites woke up to this morning after a night full of cracker bursting. And this is an entirely avoidable problem, except it's getting mired in politics. No political party seems to have the political will to fix this problem. The BJP came to office talking about, cloud seeding and more sprinklers and dust cleaning machines, none of which seems to be able to solve this problem once and for all. Let's show you some of those visuals that our reporters got early this morning as Delhiites woke up to a pall of grey skies and polluted air.
Well, if you look at the AQI and the numbers that have come up, especially during the wee hours, it was definitely in the severe category. But since then, the weather has cleared up and the pollution levels are slowly coming down. Even at this point, as we are speaking out here in Anand Vihar, which is one of the most polluted areas across the national capital, the AQI is somewhere around the 346 mark, which is still in the very poor category. When you compare it with 21st of October 2024, the AQI on that day was 329. So the AQI somewhere or the other has remained the same.
The kind of air quality that the national capital is currently seeing. In fact, the national capital is currently under a very poor category of air quality index. In fact, the CAQM, or the Center, the Commission for Air Quality Management, who looks after implementing, in fact, measures which actually prevent pollution and in fact improves air quality have in fact gone for implementation of GRAP 2 guidelines with regards to curbing down the air quality in the national capital.
All right, I want to go to a straight face-off on this. Pradeep Bhandari is national spokesperson of the BJP. Priyanka Kakkar is national spokesperson of the Aam Aadmi Party. Pradeep Bhandari, I just laid out the data. I'll go backwards again from 2025. 2025, this morning, the average AQI was 350, which is in the very poor category. Last year, 359. The year before, 438. There is data to show that the day after Diwali, there is pollution. Why are you not solving this problem?
Well, Zaka, as I begin my argument, I want to draw your attention to a visual which was reported this very morning and also posted by your channel. The Parali burning continues in Punjab. Now, the root of the problem of pollution in Delhi is not firecrackers, but it is Parali. This is not what I am saying. This is Mr. Kejriwal who said this, and allow me to just play Mr. Kejriwal.
Punjab के अंदर बठिंडा, अमृतसर ये सारा बाकी सारा पंजाब के अंदर का पोर्शन है। तो बच्चे हर साल यही होता है। 25 अक्टूबर से 20 नवंबर के बीच में दिल्ली का पोल्यूशन बढ़ता है और दिल्ली के पोल्यूशन को बढ़ने का कारण पराली है।
So as per Mr. Arvind Kejriwal, the pollution in Delhi is not because of Delhi, but it is because of Parali burning in Punjab. Now, Mr. Kejriwal's government is in Punjab. Now, if you do not believe Mr. Kejriwal, if you do not believe the visuals, let us look at what the court has said in the past. On 16th of October 2024, a bench of the Supreme Court reprimanded the Punjab government for inaction on stubble burning. On 17th of September 2025, the bench of Supreme Court suggested that strict action should be taken against Punjab government for not reducing stubble burning. So the Supreme Court, in fact, in its recent order, as late as when it allowed green crackers, said, and I quote, "Complete ban on firecrackers doesn't work, need balanced approach." Now, we definitely agree that the situation is not ideal, Zaka, but it has improved, and allow me to show you a graph. First of all, the Aam Aadmi Party lied that the AQI in Punjab has improved. This is the AQI level as of this morning, 722 in Kapurthala, 693 in Jalandhar. So, the root cause remains Parali in Punjab. It is not to do with firecrackers. Now, what have we done? I want to show you two different graphic points. This is Narayana 398, which was reported somewhere mid-afternoon. This is in the late of evening 174. I will also draw your attention to another graph, and this graph points towards how the AQI is on the verge of decline. So if you look at it, this is a time span of AQI right from 12 p.m. onwards and as late as evening. So the graph is also a declining trend. Now what are we doing as a government? We have already done the trial run for cloud seeding. In the next 3 days, you will see it dipping. We have ensured that all the top towers and top buildings have to have an anti-smogging gun. We have also ensured that more than 1,000 water sprinklers will be put across Delhi 365 days a year. So in the next 72 hours, you will see it dipping back to a normal average category. And please, if you will ask your research team to point it out, the dip in AQI in Delhi this time is faster than what it was last year. We are not passing the buck like the Aam Aadmi Party does. But I appeal to my friend from the Aam Aadmi Party, who is a very learned advocate. Please do not blame the Hindus who have celebrated Deepavali for the first time without any restrictions.
Priyanka Kakkar, the contention of the BJP, Pradeep Bhandari has laid it out. Mr. Sirsa was with us earlier in the evening, and he also said there are pictures of farmers in Punjab burning parali. They've been asked by the Aam Aadmi Party government there to cover their faces. They burn parali in the night, avoid detection by the police, so on and so forth. They have pinned the entire blame on the stubble burning. And the stubble burning, as my understanding is, and our colleague Srishti was there, our environment and science reporter was there last week, and what she found on the ground was that stubble burning has not even started in right earnest. It's going to start 10 days after Diwali, when pollution will be at its maximum. But already the stubble burning is the reason the BJP says why there is bad air and foul air in the national capital.
That is just passing the buck, Zaka. I think as a responsible government, they should understand that clean air is not a luxury, it's a necessity. And it is a crime against public health that BJP is committing right now. When Aam Aadmi Party government was in power in Delhi, for example, we ensured by 2021 all the industries in Delhi had switched to PNG fuel. We ensured that there was 24/7 electricity, resulting in the finishing of the diesel, the pollution caused because of diesel generators. We ensured that there was the EV policy was promoted to such an extent, along with the provision for chargers for the car, that Delhi became number 3 globally in EV vehicles. So we were working on several long-term and short-term measures, including taking the green cover to a historic high. All they had to do was take these measures forward. You know, they came out with a winter plan 2 days or 1 day before Diwali. We had already identified 18 hotspots, which are definitely hotspots around Diwali, because we had worked on it. But they removed those hotspots. What did they do? They put AQI in green places such as Delhi, Kant, or say Ridge area, to show that there is no pollution. What do? They on a larger issue, if I talk on a larger issue, because you see, pollution is a problem that is not just a Delhi problem anymore. You would have seen the Swiss report that came out today, which said at number 5 is Mumbai. Will you blame Arvind Kejriwal for that too? You yourself mentioned, Zaka, that pollution in the evening in Punjab was much lower than Delhi at 156 compared to 700 here or something. How did that happen? अगर वहां पराली जल रही है, what अरविंद केजरीवाल ने अमिताभ बच्चन का अजूबा बन के वो विंड से पूरा ऐसे करके दिल्ली भेज दिया वो हवा. कल कोई विंड भी नहीं थी. You know that, Zaka. You are from Delhi. Now, unfortunately, we are all suffering. You know, the air, we need good air. You need to take forward the measures that were implemented by Aam Aadmi Party, and it is shameful that the environment minister is trying to blame people from Punjab. It is extremely shameful. He should apologize for it. Right now, your reporter rightfully reported that Parali burning incidents have not even started in Punjab. So stop passing the buck. Be a responsible government. Please tell me, what did you do to ensure that the police would ensure the implementation of the Supreme Court's order?
Pradeep Bhandari, what was the
10 PM.
What was the enforcement of the cracker bursting guidelines that were put out by the Supreme Court in its order, that it has to be between 8 PM and 10 PM. It has to be necessarily green crackers. The green crackers have to be certified by NEERI, the National Environmental Research Institute, and there have to be QR codes on each of these boxes of crackers. There was nothing. People were bursting crackers up until 12 midnight, 1 AM, etc. yesterday.
Yes.
Nobody was monitoring. Pradeep.
Well, first of all, Zaka, I will answer your question, but I will appeal to my dear friend Priyanka from the Aam Aadmi Party. Please, Priyanka, do not give us any sermons or any advice. Your advices were quoted, and the Supreme Court said that you only spent 293 crore on self-promotion and advertisement. You could have spent that money for curbing pollution in Delhi. And if you were so great, Priyanka, and your government was so great in Punjab, let me tell you what the Supreme Court said. Supreme Court quoted, and I quote the Supreme Court, the Punjab government under Aam Aadmi Party should declare itself helpless. See, Priyanka, do not get rattled. So the Supreme Court believes that your government has failed in Punjab, and the Supreme Court said that you spent 293 crore in advertising in Delhi. So let's not lecture. Now let me come to the specifics. Again, another fact check before answering Zaka's question. This is what Priyanka said on the show right now was exactly said by Sanjay Singh on Twitter. And here you have the Grok AI fact-checking Sanjay Singh saying that you are lying that the AQI is 1074. It was 14 to 15 hours before. Now it has dipped because the wind fluctuations have improved and the situation is better this year than last year. Now, very good question on the enforcement part. I appeal to you, Zaka, that if you, your team, or even the Aam Aadmi Party finds any cases where the enforcement has not taken place, because the matter is in the purview of the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court pointed out that strict measures should be taken about enforcement. If any of such facts are brought to us, then the law will take its own course. But that should not become an alibi to punish the Hindus, because the Aam Aadmi Party is extremely rattled, because when it is going on the ground in Delhi, it is seeing that everybody in Deepavali is happy that for the first time in the last 10 years, the people, and in particular those who celebrate Deepavali, are doing it without any restriction. And for the first time in the last 10 years, for the pattern of improvement of AQI has been the fastest. I am not saying it is ideal. Plus, please ask your research team to check, is it improving at a faster rate than what it was the last year? The answer is a big yes.
Priyanka Kakkad, again, by law and by a Supreme Court order, farmers are not allowed to burn stubble in Punjab. There is a law which says that there is imprisonment as well as a hefty fine that is imposed for that. You're not able to stop it. Just like the BJP government in Delhi was not able to enforce Supreme Court guidelines on green crackers and no crackers beyond 10 p.m. You're also not able to enforce.
Zaka, let me please tell you that that it is the central government's submission before the Supreme Court that Parali only contributes 4% to the pollution. It is also the submission of the Center for Research and Clean Energy, which says that there are 12 coal-based plants in and around Delhi within a 300-kilometer radius, and if they use FGD technology, it will reduce SO2 emissions, which means the pollution will come down by 70% in Delhi NCR. The centre issued notices to these polluting industries in 2024 December. You know what the central government did? They exempted the technology of FGDs. They said they don't need to. This is what they do. They have no concern for the welfare of people. They are pandering to a gallery. They're only playing to optics. They divert the issue, digress the issue with their rhetoric. It is very important that they wake up, because this is becoming a national health crisis. It is known to cause a lot of problems in newborns. It is known to cause a lot of problems in lactating and pregnant women. This is not something to be taken lightly.
No, but ma'am, you were in power in Delhi for 10 years.
Wherever it is.
When you were in power in Delhi for 10 years, you were always blaming Punjab and the farmers in Punjab. No, now you're in power in Punjab, but not in Delhi. Now it's suddenly, crackers and Delhiites problems.
No, let me answer that. Arvind Kejriwal ji did bring it up in 2021, and since we formed the government in 2022, we worked to an extent that last year the Parali incidents were reduced by 85%, and there's data to support it. There's central government data to support it. Or Shivraj Singh Chauhan ji, who is the Union Agriculture Minister, he admitted on camera, there's a video where he says that Punjab ने बेहतरीन काम करके पराली प्रदूषण कम किया है. This is their minister saying. So all I'm saying is, see, there is a government. We worked in Delhi while we were working. I already told you a few measures, long term and short term we did. And we are working at war footing constantly, because Arvind Kejriwal is the man who monitors it. But we need cooperation from other states. These coal-based plants that they are operating in the NCR, only they can shut down. They exempted the FDG technology.
So, Pradeep, at the end of the day, Delhiites are stuck. Aam Aadmi Party is ruling here. Suddenly they say it's Punjab and stubble burning. When you come to power, again, you use the same excuse. Ultimately, Delhiites are the ones who are suffering. And nobody has the political will to solve this problem.
No, Zaka, in the next 72 hours, you will see Delhiites having a better air quality, unlike the Aam Aadmi Party government, which choked Delhi for the entire month. Priyanka Kakkad is lying. The Parali cases on September 21st were 56. They have increased by 300%, and October 19 they were 308. So they have not taken any step, and October 19th was not Deepavali. They have not taken any step. They are conspiring to ensure that the Parali burning continues in Punjab. They are not providing the farmers of Punjab with alternate solution. These are not my data.
Do you know what
These are data which is reported across. Only data which is, it is not from your WhatsApp university, Priyanka, it is 308 on October 19th. You are lying about the AQI in Punjab. It is 693. 693 and 700 is the AQI in Ludhiana and Kapurthala. Stop lying. Fix your mess, Priyanka. You are in power in Punjab. Listen to what Mr. Kejriwal said about Punjab.
All right, I got to wrap up. Thank you very much. We'll leave it at that, Pradeep Bhandari and Priyanka Kakkad. Let's see how this plays out, because it is disappointing as a Delhi resident, as a National Capital Region resident. This is an easily solvable problem, but somehow there is just no political will, no matter which party happens to be in power. Talking about lack of political will, I want to shift focus to Karnataka, where today there was a meeting between Biocon chairperson and prominent Bengaluru resident Kiran Majumdar-Shaw and the Karnataka Chief Minister Siddaramaiah, as well as the Karnataka Deputy Chief Minister D.K. Shivkumar. This is just days after there was a public feud on X, on the social media site, over the state of the pathetic civic infrastructure in Bengaluru. Kiran Majumdar-Shaw had criticized the state government, and in particular the Deputy Chief Minister, and that received massive traction. It received massive public backing. That's become a bone of contention between her and the ruling Congress party government there in Karnataka. D.K. Shivkumar had previously said that such criticism actually hurts the state and the country and stressed on the need to work collectively to fix such problems, even though it is absolutely well within the right of not just any corporate but any citizen in the country to ask for basic governance mechanisms, whether it is better roads, no potholes, garbage-free city. The near daily back and forth remarks and counter remarks that was happening between both sides, between the government ministers on the one side and corporate titans like Kiran Shaw and Mohandas Pai on the other, it became a very public standoff in the public spotlight. There were divided opinions on the issue of Bengaluru's civic infrastructure, and that made the national headlines. Today, seemingly, after this meeting, we're given to understand that some kind of a compromise has been arrived at. Sources telling CNN News 18 that Kiran Majumdar-Shaw explained to the Chief Minister and to the Deputy Chief Minister and submitted details on the issues that Bengaluru faces in terms of roads, garbage, better infrastructure, and the need really for attention towards better infrastructure in the city, which has huge kinds of traffic bottlenecks and other infrastructure bottlenecks. Karnataka Chief Minister has sought the cooperation of Kiran Majumdar-Shaw and other industry titans on improving the state of affairs in Bengaluru city and asked that all of them speak with care on these infrastructure issues as their statements carry weight. Sources also said that Kiran Shaw spoke to the CM about expediting road project works as well as connectivity across the IT capital.
Well, this meeting that we saw with Kiran Majumdar-Shaw along with Deputy Chief Minister D.K. Shivkumar as well as Chief Minister Mrs. Siddaramaiah is quite crucial. It also is sending out a message that the industry, what they're doing is they're basically showing to the government and not just targeting one government but also criticize previous governments as well, the pain points in Bengaluru which need to be addressed. Bengaluru needs good roads. You have to work out some solutions for traffic congestion. The garbage issues need to be addressed, and more importantly, Bengaluru as a global city, especially when looking at bringing investments from various places, and it is on the shoulders of such IT companies, be it Infosys, be it Biocon, or be it even the public sector units like you have seen BEML, or you have HAL, or you have BHEL. It is on this shoulder that Bengaluru was built, and Bengaluru is what it is today as a global city. So if investors are need to come here, Bengaluru needs to be made great again.
All right, I want to go across to Professor R. Vaidyanathan. He's an author and retired professor from IIM Bangalore. Thanks very much, Professor Vaidyanathan. You know, it is absolutely inconceivable that citizens in a country cannot criticize the government for the most basic expectation, which is good roads, garbage-clean city, and that's all that people like Kiran Majumdar-Shaw and Mohandas Pai have asked. But this public sparring that's been going on between senior ministers on the one side and these corporate citizens on the other side, what sort of message does it send out?
I think the problem is much more deeper than what is being understood. It's not between UPA and NDA, but the huge, what is called the elephant or the rhinoceros in the room is corruption. I am in Bangalore from 1975. You can imagine the number of years I have spent here, and the problem is getting accumulated rather than getting solved. Basic issue is, let me put it very bluntly, nobody wants to discuss it openly, is corruption. The level of corruption has reached such a level in both Bangalore and Chennai, and as they used to call peak oil in 2010, I would say peak corruption. And so these two states or these two cities are not in a position to expand anymore. And so the businesses are looking for alternatives. They are going into AP, they are going into UP and various other. So solving this, pothole and water is not going to be easy, because in both the cities, Jaka, let me explain to you, the apartments have come like anybody's business, and all of them have come on what are known as Rajakaluvais, or on the what one can call the river basins type of a thing. And so the water is not able to flow. Unless you destroy all these apartment buildings, you are not going to get back to your original position. It's going to be very difficult. And why so much has come on top of these rivulets is corruption. From day one, it is corruption. no engineer of BBMP or the local municipal body has been dismissed from service or arrested. Maximum he has been punished by
Suspension.
Changing from one location to another location. Go to that location and there you can do more corruption. So this is the type of a thing. And you can also
No, but
see
what does it also say,
you won't see
Professor?
Best engineers from IIT or other national institution joining BBMP and other such agencies.
No, but
So
tell me,
unless we
tell me,
stop
Professor,
this-
this is coming at a
So what
time,
is going to
you know,
happen is-
for 20 years, Bangalore had this advantage of being the IT capital. You know, Silicon Valley jobs were coming there, outsourcing happened there, IT services happened there. Today, you have a situation where Google has invested or decided to invest $15 billion in Visakhapatnam. Do you believe that over the next 20 years, as we saw in the last 20 years, Bangalore will have the same attractiveness to global corporates, big global AI companies that want to come and invest in India? Or others will benefit, other cities will benefit?
Bangalore and Chennai have reached their peak. It is just like Roman or Carthaginian civilizations which have reached their peak. Now the future belongs to AP, UP and other places. Let's be very clear about it. You might close all the potholes, but still it's not going to change the issue. People are measuring here the distance in terms of hours, not in terms of miles or. So there is no, I'm not talking about UPA or NDA. Both of them have contributed to this situation. And corruption, as you won't believe, it has reached so high level. A small restaurant fellow told me, complaints mean drawer full of cash. Very simple. This is the situation which is in practice. You might talk about ease in terms of doing business in air-conditioned seminar rooms in Bombay or Delhi. But that doesn't solve the basic problem. So let's be very clear. Bangalore and Chennai have lost out, and they can build a proper infrastructure with the given constraints. But that's not going to add any industry to them.
Okay.
That is very, very critical. And that is very, very important to notice.
Okay,
So
Professor
now
Vaidyanathan,
the
we'll
new
leave it at
business
that. Let's see how this story plays out. It's a sad note to end this conversation, but hopefully the people who are running these cities, whether it is Bangalore or Chennai, pay heed sooner than later and fix these problems. I want to move on now to the other concern. It's in a way related to Bangalore and Bangaloreans also, because this is a major relief for thousands of Indian professionals and students who are in the United States. Now, the Trump administration has clarified that the recent international graduates who are sponsored for H-1B status, who are changing their status from student visa to work visa while they're already in the country, while they're already in the US, will not be required to pay the steep $100,000 fee that was introduced for H-1B last month. Now, this is the first time that the Trump administration has actively clarified all these doubts concerning the H-1B visa fees. The clarification comes just weeks after confusion following Trump's proclamation, which had mandated this steep annual fee that is almost 90 lakh rupees. $100,000 would be almost 90 lakh rupees for every new H-1B visa that is going to be applied for. Obviously, this would make it completely like a deterrent to employers who want to sponsor technically skilled foreign workers. It had also triggered huge panic among Indian techies, Indian tech workers in the US, as well as their American employers and immigration lawyers, because they, of course, make a killing out of ensuring that there are proper work visa documents for these individuals. But by raising the cost of new H-1B visas, the Trump administration had made it absolutely unviable for any major companies or corporations to hire foreign skilled workers under H-1B. But now the clarification has come that those who are students, who are on a student visa and have been sponsored and are moving from a student visa to a work visa, in this case H-1B, they will not be required to pay the steep $100,000 fee to enable them to get the visa in the first place. Now, the earlier rule had stated that the employers who are within the United States who are filing for new or renewal petitions will have to pay the fee of 100,000. But as per the new norm, it is only new petitions from outside the US who are supposed to pay. In terms of the amount that was supposed to be paid, the previous law mandated that you pay anywhere between $2,000 to $5,000, but the latest notification says that $100,000 must be paid for new, and there are no fees for renewals. It's only for new H-1B visas. The annual cap for H-1B that is mentioned as per an act of Congress is 65,000. That's the regular number, and then there's another 20,000 for advanced degrees. Largely, that remains unchanged. But this higher fee could threaten newer applicants because it doesn't make it viable for corporates to invest 90 lakh rupees just to hire one highly skilled foreign worker.
Equally important aspect: how must employees pay? Employers are required to pay the fee online through the federal government's payment portal. It should be noted that the USCIS has only come up with a detailed guidance, meaning there's no change to the existing presidential proclamation on the H-1B visa fee hike that was announced last month. This even as critics argue that the update has disrupted businesses and employees. Moreover, the outcomes of such a decision are still believed to be counterproductive to talent and innovation. Critics highlight several reasons why the update is problematic. That includes the disruption it causes for businesses and employees and potentially counterproductive outcomes. Moreover, the $100,000 fee is seen as enormously expensive. This especially for startups and small to mid-sized companies, all of whom depend on foreign talent but lack the budget of large corporations. As already argued by the US Chamber of Commerce, that this will cripple smaller businesses in the United States. Remember, the US Chamber of Commerce is a leading business advocacy group. It was the latest to sue the Trump administration among the multiple lawsuits, especially triggered since the rollout of the $100,000 visa fee update. Opponents argue that expect this steep fee to now give other countries a competitive edge over the United States. And that includes countries with more accessible immigration pathways such as Canada, Germany, and the UK.
We'll take a quick break here on the program. When we come back, Trump is all set to now meet Vladimir Putin, the president of Russia, in the next couple of weeks in Budapest, Hungary. This comes on the back of Trump's meeting last week with President Zelensky, where in the run-up to that meeting, he was trying to sell the idea that the US is open to selling long-range Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine. But suddenly in that meeting, Trump backed off from that idea, perhaps because the day before he had a long 2.5-hour long conversation with Putin. We'll break that down for you right on the other side.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
Days after a heated war on X over Bengaluru's infrastructure, Biocon founder Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw met with Karnataka's Deputy CM DK Shivakumar. Following the meeting, Shivakumar said that they had an engaging discussion on Bengaluru's growth, innovation and the path ahead for Karnataka's growth story. Meanwhile, Congress government sources have revealed that the Deputy CM has assured Shaw of visits to key areas in the city to engage with industry on improving infrastructure and advised avoiding controversial statements. Meanwhile, industrialist and ex-Infosys CFO Mohandas Pai has criticized the state government, alleging that those questioning poor infrastructure in Bengaluru are being targeted. Rohini Swami brings you more.
Let me ask you a straight question, Mr. Pai. Now, this when they have, the trolls have been saying, and they speak about saying, why do you speak up when it talks about infrastructure? Why don't you do it with other governments? Why do it with only the Congress government? Why have you not done with the previous governments? Or for that matter, even Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw, and question that whether you are Kannadigas at all. How do you react?
I think they're all ill-informed and bigoted. We have been talking about infrastructure for the last 15-20 years. I've spoken about corruption in the government 15 years back, 10 years back, in the Bommai government. In the Bommai government, we've spoken about infrastructure. We've gone and met Chief Minister Bommai. We've gone and met everybody. It's a continuous thing. It's nothing that has happened just now.
Yeah.
Only thing is today it's got worse, and there are a lot more people angry and upset. For example, I spoke about the need for expanding the road on Bellary Road next to the palace, next to Palace Orchards. It was done. We spoke about expanding the road, which is that Hebbal flyover with the Bommai government. They started the work. Now it's getting completed with 2 more loops. Okay. Peripheral road, we've spoken about it for long. We've spoken about expanding the Nandi road for long. I mean, it goes back 30-35 years. This is not today's problem. We spoke about expanding the Hosur road. We all went on the Hosur road in 1995 and started cleaning up the road, building the road. I think people have forgotten. These are all not Kannadigas.
After Biocon founder Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw meets Chief Minister Siddaramaiah on Bengaluru's infrastructure issues. Sources told CNN News 18 that Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw has highlighted key infrastructural concerns in Bengaluru. This, of course, includes issues with roads, as has also been highlighted by Mohandas Pai, garbage and the city's overall infrastructure. The Chief Minister has now requested Shaw and the industry's cooperation in improving Bengaluru's infrastructure. He's urged all stakeholders to speak carefully on these issues, as their statements carry significant weightage among the public and investors who are looking to invest in not just Bengaluru but Karnataka as a whole. Shaw has in fact emphasized the public outrage over poor infrastructure and roads. She's called for urgent attention. Rohini Swami has been tracking that story for us. She joins me on the phone line as well. Good morning to you, Rohini. If you could take us through the response that's come in after Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw highlighted all of those issues, and how she has been at the forefront now tackling this problem after Mohandas Pai was attacked.
Well, Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw and Mohandas Pai have been some of the loudest voices that we have seen, especially when it comes to telling the Karnataka government as to what the pain points are in Bengaluru, especially.
In a dramatic geopolitical turn for Ukraine, President Donald Trump of the United States has backed off from using long-range Tomahawk missiles amid rising tensions between Ukraine and Russia in this ongoing war, which is soon going to approach its 4th year. All of this reportedly at the nudge of the Russian President Vladimir Putin, because he met Zelensky last week and just a day before that had a 2.5-hour-long conversation with Putin. And now Trump has had a very noisy meeting with Zelensky in which he has finally said no to the long-range missiles, and instead he has said he's preparing to meet with Putin in Hungary in the next couple of weeks. President Trump says he's doubtful if Ukraine can win this war. So what happened, and where does that leave this almost 4-year war between Russia and Ukraine? US President Donald Trump had repeatedly floated the idea of selling long-range missiles to Ukraine that would allow Kiev to strike deep inside Russia. That was a view that he had floated, which would increase the leverage that Ukraine would have to force Russia to come to the negotiating table. And this was in the run-up to Ukrainian President Zelensky, who had scheduled a Friday meeting at the White House, hoping to finalize the acquisition of American Tomahawk missiles. But by Friday afternoon, President Zelensky left that meeting with President Trump disappointed. He told reporters that President Trump had insisted on keeping the Tomahawk missiles for America itself. The Ukrainian president would no longer talk about acquiring the Tomahawks, although both countries would continue discussing the issue.
We just had a call, as you know, with President Putin. I thought it was a very good call, so we'll talk about it maybe later. But it went very well.
But that was not how it was earlier in the week. Between Trump's comments on Tuesday about transferring long-range Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine and Zelensky being let down on Friday, there was one pivotal moment. That was a lengthy phone call between Trump and President Vladimir Putin of Russia, who appeared to talk the American president out of this idea. It was the latest example of Trump altering his position after a personal interaction with Putin. He had acknowledged in the past that he has felt misled by the Russian president, but his frustration with Putin quickly dissipates. The same happened in Alaska earlier this year, and now this.
I have to say, we want tomahawks also. We don't want to be giving away things that we need to protect our country.
In March, Trump had declared that he was very, very angry with Putin. In May, Trump had called Putin's attacks on Ukraine absolutely crazy. And then in July, Trump even vented to reporters that he believed that the Russian president was leading him on by promising to enter into peace negotiations, but he was never intending to follow through. But each and every single time, Trump has re-engaged with Putin, hoping to strike a deal to end the war. Trump's dithering stand on sending Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine only further raises the stakes of a proposed summit between Trump and Putin in Hungary in the next few weeks. Secretary of State Marco Rubio is also planning to meet with his counterpart Sergei Lavrov, Russia's foreign minister, in the next few days. After speaking for more than 2.5 hours on Thursday on the phone with Putin, Trump said that he planned to meet with the Russian leader in Hungary in a couple of weeks' time. He also said that his intention was clear: to try and discuss ways to bring an end to Moscow's 3-year invasion of Ukraine. Now, incidentally, in this 2.5-hour-long phone conversation between the presidents of America and Russia, it came just a day before Trump was all set to meet with President Zelensky of Ukraine at the White House. But after days of suggesting that he would allow the sale of Tomahawk missiles to Kiev, Trump then abruptly expressed fears over further arming Ukraine, signaling that he might back off if Putin proves willing to negotiate a diplomatic end. In a social media post on Friday, Trump called his meeting with Zelensky very interesting and very cordial, but he was unwilling to commit to the Tomahawks. Outside the White House, Zelensky responded to Trump's message by arguing that the president was right and that both sides should stop the fighting. But his disappointment around the Tomahawks was visible.
We trust United States. We trust President that he wants to finish this war, and it's difficult. It's very tough solution. It's understandable why.
Earlier in the week, Trump discussed the idea of sending these long-range missiles to Ukraine during his call with Putin. After that call, he said it had not gone over well with Putin, who had warned Trump that this would trigger a direct conflict between America and Russia. Later, Trump began backing off, saying that he wanted the peace negotiations to start between Russia and Ukraine before discussing sending any Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine. The decision to hold the phone call with Putin, after days of expressing his increasing frustration with the Russian leader and his unwillingness to take substantive steps towards peace, signaled a familiar pattern for Trump's handling of the war. On multiple occasions in this year since he came back to office, Trump has come right to the edge of imposing penalties on Russia or giving powerful new weapons to Ukraine, but then he backs off and then he speaks with Putin. He raises hopes for a diplomatic solution, but so far, with little to show for it, Putin has doubled down on the war, and Russia's attacks on Ukraine have only gotten more brazen. Back in the spring, Trump had accused Putin of playing with fire in his conduct of the war. He said he was considering imposing sanctions, but 2 weeks later he backtracked and said that he was only testing the waters to see if Putin was serious about the negotiations. Trump never imposes sanctions anyway. Trump then set another deadline in early August for Putin to end the war. Rather than impose sanctions, Trump met with the Russian leader in Alaska, and after the first and only meeting between these two leaders in Trump's second term so far, both the presidents proclaimed that they had made headway towards peace. But Putin continued his assault on Ukraine, and he's shown little public willingness to back down. Back at the White House, Zelensky made the case for why a weapon sale of Tomahawks would help end this war. He also proposed an arms exchange in which Ukrainian drones would be traded for the long-range Tomahawks.
3, 2, 1, launch.
The Tomahawks, which can travel 5 times more than the Army tactical missile systems that America has so far given to Ukraine. Modern Tomahawk cruise missiles can strike roughly 900 to 1,100 miles, that's about 1,500 to 2,000 kilometers, in common public estimates for Block 4 and Block 5 variants. This would mean that Ukraine can strike deep inside Russia, including in Moscow, if it gets these missiles. But at the very last moment, after a phone call, Trump, as always, has chickened out. For Xi Jinping, the Communist Party of China's ongoing 4th plenary meeting is not just a conference to rubber stamp his economic agenda, it's also a platform to showcase his ever-tightening grip on power. But it's not going to be easy. China's economic slowdown, the ongoing trade war with the United States, all of this has narrowed Xi Jinping's political options. Can he keep his grip on power as tight as before? He needs to demonstrate that both at home and abroad. And this is what he has done and is likely to do in the next few days. I decode. The four-day Communist Party plenum, which opened Monday in Beijing, marks a defining moment for President Xi Jinping of China. Beyond the sterile language of economic planning, the conclave, which is attended by more than 300 of China's most powerful political figures, is about reaffirming control amidst the turbulence within the People's Liberation Army and in China's fraught diplomatic relations with America. The fourth plenary session is expected to finalize the 15th five-year plan that runs from 2026 to 2030. This would set the strategic direction on China's economic model, its military posture, and its social governance. Such plenums often serve the purpose of a mid-term recalibration of the party's hold on power. This particular plenum, though, bears the hallmark of crisis management. In his opening address, Xi Jinping urged focus on high-quality growth, technological self-sufficiency, and modernization of the military. He also warned senior generals of the military to be prepared for significant trials ahead. With the Chinese economy expanding just 4.8% in the third quarter, which is the weakest since the COVID years, the stakes are now much higher. Xi Jinping's remarks emphasize continuity of his vision for dual circulation, which is balancing internal demand with strategic decoupling from the Western economies, particularly from the United States. But there was high drama just ahead of the plenum. The purge of General He Weidong was the perfect political theater just before the plenary began. Announced on the 18th of October, just a couple of days before the plenum, the expulsion of 9 senior PLA generals, including He Weidong, who served as the vice chairman of the Central Military Commission, sent shockwaves through China's military elite. He was widely regarded as China's second most powerful general. He was effectively the vice commander of the armed forces and, once upon a time, a trusted ally of Xi Jinping. A career officer from the Eastern Theater Command, He oversaw operations around Taiwan, and he had earned Xi's confidence, particularly during the previous military restructuring that happened in 2017. Therefore, He's removal signals more than just a corruption case. It suggests deep factional unease inside the PLA. And the context of this purge could not get worse for Xi Jinping. He had reportedly given an unofficial deadline of 2027 to reassert China's control over Taiwan. 2027 is the year that the People's Liberation Army of China completes 100 years. The Defense Ministry accused He Weidong of serious job-related crimes involving extremely large sums of money. They also accused him of a collapse of beliefs, blaming him for undermining both military unity and also party authority. Notably, these purges were announced just a couple of days before the party's top plenum, which turned out to be an unmistakable act of political choreography. The purge conveniently reinforces Xi's message that corruption equals disloyalty and discipline in the military means loyalty to the party above all else. It also reflects concerns about reliability within the ranks after several rocket force commanders were removed earlier this year. By making He Weidong, who was once considered incorruptible, into a cautionary tale, Xi Jinping is projecting unwavering dominance at home. Xi Jinping's method of ruling through periodic purges and public discipline achieves two aims. One, it eliminates potential rivals, while at the same time it portrays Xi Jinping as the guardian of China's national integrity. The coordinated timing illustrates how Xi merges domestic consolidation with external signaling. Domestically, Xi Jinping needs to deter uncertainty in the country. There have been months of financial distress, there have been mass layoffs, there are real estate defaults. The country's never really recovered from the COVID years. Internationally, Xi Jinping must demonstrate that China remains stable, maybe even ruthless, under his command. So that message, meant for the international audience, was equally aimed at one other world leader, which is American President Donald Trump. With a possible meeting between Xi Jinping and Trump now likely for later this month on the sidelines of the APEC summit in South Korea, Beijing and Washington are bracing for a confrontation. The two presidents are expected to meet around the end of the month, marking their first direct meeting since Trump's return to office in January. It will take place amidst the most fierce escalation of the trade war since Trump came back to office for a second term. In early October, China announced sweeping export controls on 12 rare earth metals, which are vital for the semiconductor and defense industries. China basically made it mandatory that all foreign companies have to obtain special export licenses even if their products use less than 0.1% of rare earths extracted in China. Just a few days after that announcement, President Trump retaliated with a declaration of 100% tariffs on all Chinese imports effective starting November 1. He described Beijing's new export restrictions as extraordinarily aggressive. The move could lift American tariffs on Chinese goods to as high as 130%. If both sides don't clinch a trade deal, that would ignite panic across world markets. It would force American multinationals to reconfigure their supply chains. And that is not something that either party wants.
I think China's been very respectful of us. They're paying tremendous amounts of money to us as in the form of tariffs. As you know, they're paying 55%. That's a lot of money. They never were paying anything over years and years and years. But they were like anybody else. A lot of countries took advantage of the U.S. They're not taking advantage anymore. No, China's paying 55% and a potential 155% come November 1st unless we make a deal. And I'm meeting with President Xi. We have a very good relationship. We're going to be meeting in South Korea in a couple of weeks. And we'll see what we can do. We have a very good relationship with China, but you know, it's been probably a little bit like your relationship with China. They try and take advantage, but most countries do. I mean, I can say the European Union took advantage, but not anymore. We worked out a very fair trade deal. Japan, we worked out a very fair deal. South Korea, where I'll be meeting President Xi, we worked out a very fair deal, and I expect we'll probably work out a very fair deal with President Xi of China. So most of you will be with us. It's going to be very exciting. And I think we're going to work out something that's good for both countries.
Trump, who had briefly hinted that the meeting with Xi Jinping might be cancelled, he confirmed last week that he will indeed sit down across the table with Xi. Trump had described the meeting as a showdown over fair trade. Chinese state media, while cautiously confirming Xi's attendance of the APEC summit, has downplayed expectations of a breakthrough when both leaders meet. In fact, they're both backed into a nationalist corner. Trump is under domestic pressure to appear tough on China. Xi Jinping is facing internal fissures, so he cannot afford to appear weak either. The timing of the plenum, the purge of the second most senior general, and the looming APEC summit meeting with Trump collectively all serve one goal, and that is to reassert Xi Jinping's personal authority in uncertain times. China's economic slowdown, coupled with worsening external conditions, has narrowed Xi Jinping's political flexibility. The leadership must now balance control at home and defiance abroad. It's a classic move of all embattled autocrats, Xi Jinping being no exception.
Co-presented by This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
Days after a heated war on X over Bengaluru's infrastructure, Biocon founder Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw met with Karnataka's Deputy CM DK Shivakumar. Following the meeting, Shivakumar said that they had an engaging discussion on Bengaluru's growth, innovation and the path ahead for Karnataka's growth story. Meanwhile, Congress government sources have revealed that the Deputy CM has assured Shaw of visits to key areas in the city to engage with industry on improving infrastructure and advised avoid avoiding controversial statements. Meanwhile, industrialist and ex-Infosys CFO Mohandas Pai has criticized the state government, alleging that those questioning poor infrastructure in Bengaluru are being targeted. Rohini Swami brings you more.
Let me ask you a straight question, Mr. Pai. Now, when the trolls have been saying, and they speak about saying, why do you speak up when it talks about infrastructure? Why don't you do it with other governments? Why do it with only the Congress government? Why have you not done with the previous governments? Or for that matter, even Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw, and question that whether you're like Kannadigas at all. How do you react?
I think they're all ill-informed and bigoted. We have been talking about infrastructure for the last 15, 20 years. I spoken about corruption in the government 15 years back, 10 years back, in the Bommai government. In the Bommai government, we've spoken about infrastructure. We've gone and met Chief Minister Bommai. We've gone and met everybody. It's a continuous thing. It's nothing that has happened just now.
Yeah.
Only thing is today it's got worse, and there are a lot more people angry and upset. For example, I spoke about the need for expanding the road on Bellary Road next to the palace, next to Palace Orchards. It is done. We spoke about expanding the road, which is that Hebbal flyover, with the Bommai government. They started the work. Now it's getting completed with 2 more loops. Okay. Peripheral road, we've spoken about it for long. We've spoken about expanding the Nandi road for long. I mean, it goes back 30, 35 years. This is not today's problem. We spoke about expanding the Hosur road. We all went on the Hosur road in 1995 and started cleaning up the road, building the road. I think people have forgotten. These are all not Kannadigas.
After Biocon founder Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw meets Chief Minister Siddaramaiah on Bengaluru's infrastructure issues. Sources told CNN News 18 that Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw has highlighted key infrastructural concerns in Bengaluru. This, of course, includes issues with roads, as has also been highlighted by Mohandas Pai, garbage and the city's overall infrastructure. The Chief Minister has now requested Shaw and the industry's cooperation in improving Bengaluru's infrastructure. He's urged all stakeholders to speak carefully on these issues, as their statements carry significant weightage among the public and investors who are looking to invest in not just Bengaluru but Karnataka as a whole. Shaw has in fact emphasized the public outrage over poor infrastructure and roads. She's called for urgent attention. Rohini Swami has been tracking that story for us. She joins me on the phone line as well. Good morning to you, Rohini. If you could take us through the response that's come in after Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw highlighted all of those issues, and how she has been at the forefront now tackling this problem after Mohandas Pai was attacked.
Well, Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw and Mohandas Pai have been some of the loudest voices that we have seen, especially when it comes to telling the Karnataka government as to what the pain points are in Bengaluru, especially in its infrastructure. And for the fact that they have been explaining through examples as well. When Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw spoke about a Chinese visitor who had come into Bengaluru and asked whether there's any engagement with the government and infrastructure projects at all, because the way the garbage that was seen in the city as well and the pothole roads itself clearly shows that there needs to be a lot of work done. This is something that she's been highlighting, and as well, Mohandas Pai also speaking about it very clearly and telling the government also that these are not criticism of the government, it is criticism of governance and constructive criticism. The fact that they all are looking at building Bengaluru, the people who have been a part of the Bengaluru growth story, there have been people who are from Infosys to Biocon and several other companies. And Bengaluru, if you remember also, the public sector undertakings like BEML and HAL, all of them build Bengaluru as its brand is today. And that is why it is important to keep the name of Bengaluru as one of the global cities and for investors to come in. Here, this meeting with the Deputy Chief Minister, Mr. D.K. Shivkumar, as well as the Chief Minister, Mr. Siddaramaiah, also very clearly shows that they are serious in terms of engagement. The government also saying that we will ensure and we will look at these places which are being highlighted. There's been a paper also, we were told, that was submitted about the various issues that need to be addressed in Bengaluru specifically. And Siddaramaiah.
Very good evening. You're watching the Hard Facts. I'm Akanksha Swaroop. Delhi's Environment Minister Manjinder Singh Sirsa has said that the spike in the city's pollution levels cannot be pinned on Diwali. Sirsa has compared the spike in Delhi's air quality index during Diwali over the previous 4